This episode is brought to you by Snapple. Want to know another Snapple fact? The first hot air balloon passengers were a sheep, a duck, and a rooster. Ridiculous. Check out Snapple.com to find ridiculously flavored Snapple near you.
Welcome to another episode of the Royalist King CJ Music Podcast, where we talk music and all of this and all of the sorts, and we debate, of course, diss tracks, but we also talk about a lot of deeper tracks and their meanings behind them. Let me put the disclaimer out here. I haven't picked a side. I think each artist brings up valid points between Kendrick and Drake. However, I would also like to kind of talk about these songs in a different detail before we actually get to these songs, because it seems, and I don't mean this in a negative connotation. As I said, I don't mean this in a negative connotation, but listening to these songs over again, I have questions. Right, so if we how we label this? If we go 3 rounds, or we go 3 rounds, and we're waiting for a response, where we go first person shooter, like that, and then we go from like that to Meet the Grams, or from Meet the Grams to Push Up, or we go Meet the Grams in that specific order, and we go like in that order. It's very difficult, right? It's very difficult for me. I think we sit here and talk about it, but a lot of these allegations have been talked about and discussed extremely in detail way before we entered this beef. For example, and I want to make this clear: I'm not protecting anybody that is a woman beater if that allegation is true. However, that allegation has been following Kendrick around for years before this debate before this beef even started. If it is confirmed, if it is not confirmed, that Drake has had altercation with children, we'll do it like that. If he had altercation with children, but we also have to kind of talk about this, and I think to a certain extent I would be doing a disservice not talking or having a full and honest conversation about these topics. And I think the best way to learn from these topics is to have genuine conversations, and for the most part I think I have a genuine conversation. I think it just depends, right? Because I think, as I said, I think first-person shooter is better, but first-person shooter is handicapped because it has J. Cole and it has Cole. It has J. Cole and it has Drake on it. And like that is a clever song. It's a short verse. It's like a 30-second verse. But it's kind of a conversation that we kind of need to have. And I think looking at these newer diss tracks, they're concerning, right? And I don't mean they're concerning in a positive or a negative light, but I think, and Kendrick has this point, and he has to kind of prove that Drake isn't who people thought who Drake was, and that narrative works to a certain extent. It works because people and artists that Drake have went to battle with before in rap, it works to a certain degree. However, what I'm seeing from Kendrick, from this point of view, for songs that were like Meet the Grams, where he talks about the disrespect to his mother, that he might have another child out there, which in this current moment has not been proven and it has not been confirmed and has not been disproven. However, there are sources saying that that is not true, which would then invalidate that diss track, because in the sense of a diss track, you're supposed to be telling the truth, right? But it's easy to push that narrative and try to attack Drake's character if you have something catchy. But it has not been confirmed or denied at this very moment of me recording this on Friday if he has a child, which is interesting because this will probably drop. I'm assuming Kendrick will drop on Sunday. I'm assuming he will drop on Sunday, and if that is the case, I think that's interesting. It'll be an interesting drop, and surprised I would have predicted it, which was in itself is amazing. But it's concerning when this is the argument that is being held. I think when you try to break Drake's character, I think you have an uphill battle, right? And I think the shot is, if you aim at me, I'm going to aim at you. And I think that's perfectly fine. But these are two different things, and Drake has it. Let me be clear. Drake has the harder job to do. But it is doable. It's doable to break that persona, that shadow that covers Kendrick, which ironically he has discussed, right? It's information in which Drake has also discussed in an album in 2018, but Kendrick Lamar has recently talked about how he cheated on his wife. And Drake brings this up when he talks about the Black Messiah and Family Matters, where he tries to argue that Kendrick claims that he's pro African, pro Black, pro African American, pro African, but his wife is mixed, which this is weird, and I hate that this is being put this way, but it could be also argued that Drake and Kendrick's wife share a relation. However, if we are going off of the basis of this idea, right, then we have to go off the old percentage of like fathers, whatever your fathers you are, which it makes this sound old, right? It makes these tracks sound like they were older and that they were. It dates these tracks. It really does, because it's. You would think in a world where we're past kind of this conversation, and Rick Ross kind of proved that we aren't. But it's a weird debate to have, right? And it's mostly because we've heard these conversations from people that just Drake before, and Drake's talked about how when he heard Abel on the track with Kendrick and Future, right? As he said, he didn't think him and Pluto went through anything difficult. He thought him and Future were on good terms. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. Or Future, it's weird. It seems that they're no longer on good terms, which is fine, right? But then Kendrick also brings an interesting point in one of his diss tracks. He brings up the fact that it seems that Drake always goes to Atlanta when he's looking for a kind of like a boost in sales or for money. However, the question would be, right? Like he says, he goes to Future when he's looking for club songs. 21 Savage gave him street credibility. Lil Baby kind of gave him the lingo, right? But the question, so I guess this is my question. My question is this, and so many people may not hold this opinion, but I have a question. My question is, are we saying that people being influenced by a person is bad? Or culture or a sound is bad, right? Because if so, I have questions on what the limitation of that is, right? Because if we can't be influenced by other people to make better music, then what's the idea of sampling, right? Because we're sampling people that influence us, but the idea of features in themselves is to help other artists or people get on. It's basically this new level of co-signing that has been going around for years in hip hop, right? Jay-Z did it with Cole. Ja Rule did it. 50 Cent did it for G Unit. Lil Wayne did it for Drake. Drake did it for Nicki. Cole did it for the Baby. Tory did it for Joyner Lucas. Like, people have been doing this for years. Drake did it for Party Next Door. People have been doing this for years, right? And to that point, I don't necessarily understand why. I don't understand why people are saying you go to Atlanta for features when it's kind of been established that like the two states or cities to be influenced by music are New York City or New York and Atlanta. But this also brings up another valid point. Can Drake make a club mix or something that's played in a club without a feature? And so this is the conversation that people are trying to have. And I think, as I said, to knock Drake down a peg, you have to be ready to prove it. And so you make claims as in this is the case, but then we look at the evidence or we look at the statistics of these artists before and after the Drake, or I'm going to call it the Drake effect. We see, for a weird reason, like their numbers and sales spike. We saw it with J. Cole especially, and J. Cole is getting J. Cole. Okay, so as previously stated before the break, we have this question necessarily of could Dre make a club mix without him? And we've seen over the statistics, if we look at the data says that Drake has been able to make club mixes by himself, which is concerning. I understand, right? But at the same time, the overall question is, can he do it? Kendrick points out this thing of that Drake being that he fakes his religious views and that he hasn't done anything for the culture. However, when we look at the statistics, right, Drake cosign has done a lot for a lot of different people that are in this specific culture. So, I mean, I get it, right? And these songs by themselves are trying to break down this facade that they assume that Drake has. But my question is that facade real, or do people just assume that facade is real? Because if you assume the facade's real, then that's on the person themselves for believing that facade is real, and that people believe that is true. However, they're saying that Drake ideally is faking, is ideally faking his religion, which, what is that belief, right? The joke becomes underwhelming. I don't know, it's weird because the idea of him faking his, and this is true, if these rumors are true that, well, people have said that Drake doesn't specifically express the views that he may feel religiously. I think a lot of people explore their religion. Religion isn't something that's like a staple, like, oh, this is a staple, we cannot do this, or we cannot do that. I can't explore my religion. But what religion is he faking? And this thing is that he's a culture, and people will say this phrase, and this will haunt Drake until he, which is weird because they'll say that he's not black, and which is ironic because it's basing on a rule which we've talked about in heavier detail in this earlier episode. But it's ironic that people say this, but okay. So I'll break down each point individually. Religiously, I think anybody can express how they want to be religiously expressed, and then faking a religion. Kendrick has explained when he says faking a religion because he fakes his religious views. I think a lot of people share views that cross religion, right? Or is he saying he fakes his religious view because he sees himself as a god? And to some extent, I think a lot of people see themselves as gods, which there could be, different religions that break down that there are multiple different gods, which to some extent we could say they are in statues or they're in scripture, they're in books, we could have this whole debate on religious views. But I don't think anyone's like, hey, I'm gonna listen to Drake because his religious views, even though if the mother or the father is Jewish, then that makes that child Jewish by can be Jewish by association, which that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure what he talks about his religious views, right? Because his religious views, as I understand them, or how I view religions, you can kind of like you can to an extent be part of a religion and not necessarily fully believe in a religion. You can follow some views of religion and not expressly enjoy them. Okay, but I have to address this because if I don't address this, it's going to be like I'm pandering, which I'm really not, right? But it's this question of does it last long term, and I think it should. I don't think, as I said, it's weird for me because I hold Kendrick's information to be valid, and I expect it to be true. I expect the same thing of any disavow to be true. Um, but what I'm seeing isn't necessarily my reality, right? My reality being that um, it's supposed to be off of stuff that is true, right? And so when Kendrick goes and he says, um, Wayne is the reason, you know, Wayne is the reason for, like, Wayne is the reason that Drake slept with Wayne's girlfriend. He was locked up for a very short amount of time, um, which which is which is weird, I think. But it's been they've had this conversation. This incident happened when Wayne was locked up and releasing the Carters, but this situation has been spoken about, right? Like it's been spoken about to length. Wayne did an interview, no interview about it, and they admit, or there was rumors that he punched them, but these rumors have already this has already been proven because Wayne did an interview about it, right? Like it's that is my problem with Kendrick. I have, and I say this, and I don't mean it in a negative light, but it's stuff we've heard, right? Like when Pusha T said, "Drake, you got a child that you're hiding." No one had ever used that line on Drake. Of, oh, you have a child that you're hiding. No one has ever used that lyric on Drake ever before, right? And this is my thing. He says that he's taking he can't say the N word, which he's taking away that pass, but it's just like it's quantum. It's there, it's there, right? But some of these rumors that some of these claims that Kendrick is bringing up, Drake has already addressed. Like the association with children, he's addressed. Now, we could talk about that picture and how it refers to this, but most of this stuff can be written off, right? Because if they are all in Toronto, and now this is the thing, if 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 the palace gets proven, if it gets proven that that any of this is true, I mean, this is the thing. Drake's denying it. There's been no court filing of these actual documents. So if there's a court filing for the documents, or there's anybody gets like a media press release where they are able to get the documents and like apply for the court things, it's a lot of different things, right? And it's weird. It's weird. Like, if you can prove it, prove it. I need proof. Like, I need proof. I haven't found direct confirmation from anybody that like you can explain it. Like, it's weird to me to use this. And this Ozempic thing is kind of bothering me because I don't know. He has this picture of Ozempic in Drake's name. But are people not aware that Ozempic is used for type 2 diabetes? It's also used to manage blood sugar. While it's not an official weight loss drug, it can be used to lose a lot of weight, which would explain Drake's ability to lose that weight in such a short time. Like, all of this stuff can be like used, right, for like medical purposes, right? So this Ozempic line goes over my head because I'm like, okay, but Ozempic can kind of be used for medical reasons. It really can. Like, that's the thing. Ozempic can be used. Now, has Drake ever really publicly said he used Ozempic? No, because but that's the thing. Ozempic, it's but that's the thing. Like, Ozempic can be used as a weight loss drug. It's not officially a weight loss drug, but it can be used as one. Like, any medicine can be used for medical use, right? And that could be. I mean, they talk about the like his Ozempic, and it could be it could be a HIPAA violation, but he's not going to talk about why he's using Ozempic because that seems kind of stupid to me. To make a diss song saying, "Yeah, I use Ozempic," yeah, okay. I mean, we still use the BMI scale, which is Americans still use the BMI scale, which people have argued that it's supposed to be for the population of a country or a population of a state or a population. It's not supposed to be used for individual people, but we still use BMI scale, which that's what I'm saying. Half of this can be overlooked because it's like you're bringing up stuff that's fine, right? But it's can be like statistically proven by the numbers that a lot of people do well under the Drake effect, which I'm not picking a side. I think it's genuine. Like, these are genuine questions. But a lot of this stuff, I'm like, okay, that Ozempic line, okay. I mean, a lot of people use Ozempic. He's a culture, okay. But when I think of who Drake's really put on, he's put on a lot of people. Kendrick being one of them, right? Being the story how you want to say it, but it's true. And to say that he has a rat in his organization or he's snitching because it's a lot of people that want to bring him down. I mean, that's any organization. I don't like. That's the thing. Like, most of this happens in a lot of people's organizations. So is he just saying because Drake says that his network is close? I mean, a lot of people think their networks are close until they cut him, me included. So it's just this line falls flat for a lot of different. Like, these strikes feel kind of lost on me, and to this day, I still haven't. I'm recording this after, like, I'm recording these in sections because I'm waiting for somebody to verify because I haven't been able to verify that Drake has a child. That's 10, 11, or 12. So I'm looking for proof, but, like, if somebody has the proof, I'm willing to listen to the proof. But I haven't personally seen the proof, so I can't verify information that I haven't been able to verify, but also no one's been able to prove. And if I was Kendrick, I would go, hey, no one can prove it, but I can prove it. I would drop it. I mean, I would ask them that, do you mind if I drop her full name? And that's what I would do. But that's not what Kendrick's doing, right? Or say, hey, so-and-so, but she in this city. You, like, Kendrick, you have an ability to go, hey, you know, you said I was lying. You said no one can find your daughter. But, hey, she's in so-and-so Arkansas City. Like, you can make this a diss, right? But it falls flat, though. And, I mean, to some extent, I get it. Right? These are closely related. I get it. Drake saying you want to hide the Jermaine, which is a double factor because, I think it was a finish time. Anyway, Josh or anyway, in the Adventure Time show, it's this guy called Jermaine, and he's supposed to be socially isolated, like keeping the secrets in. But also, this could be him saying that, hey, you want to keep Jermaine away, which is nice, right? But it's this appropriate. It's like it's fine, right? But like some of these Drake ones have been coming, slower than I expected, and I mean that's fair. I can't judge somebody for going, hey, I'm gonna take my time with this. I'm gonna craft this so well that that it's good. Like, I think the thing is, I liked a few of it until you have to justify it, which I haven't seen anybody do. Which, if you can justify any of these, great. But if you can't kind of use this line of, oh, I tried to justify, but I couldn't justify it. I mean, but you're putting out rumors, like, and this is the thing, and it's this kind of play you get where Drake's just like, hey, you did so and so, you did this in this domestic violence case, which he's arguing that he did about suit, and it's a weird line because you could look at that line and he goes, hey, like Kendrick said, you married you're not involved with the culture, you're not doing this. But it's like when No Name called Kendrick out and said, y'all are doing fake activism, there was not a reply from Kendrick. Like, this is my thing. People are saying, oh, he didn't reply back to Pusha. Where's that Jay Electronica? Like, we got to be fair here. If we go, hey, he didn't reply to Pusha. Kendrick didn't reply to No Name. He didn't reply to Jay Electronica. I mean, this is the thing. Like, it's hypocritical on both sides. Because I'm like, where's the response? Where do we go? Okay, he didn't respond to so-and-so, but he also didn't respond to so-and-so. So, like, it's off the cuff. And it's these things and where people are like, well, we can't, well, Drake didn't respond to Pusha. But Drake did an interview and said he either had to go full force or pull back. And he decided to pull back because Prince told him to. That's fine. That's an admitting of defeat. Right? But I haven't heard anything that I haven't heard from Rick Ross, Rose, Pusha T, that little feud that he had with McMill. Some of this stuff I've heard from Kendrick, I have already known, right? Like, I've already known some of this information. And so I'm like, okay, Pusha said he had a child. Rick Ross already said that he was this, he was that. Like, he was being switchy, because when he was growing big, he didn't care who he was around. But I mean, at a certain point, like, this is my thing. Like, some of this stuff could be used back on each other, and I get it, right? It's clever, right? Because he has Drake. He has a seven-side. He has a seven-side shoot. Great. I mean, these are just like simple verses, simple lines, simple diss. But like, I don't hate any of them the way I probably should. And people are like, oh, why don't you hate them? I don't. Like, there's no ill will towards any of them, right? Like, I just don't have like a hardline hate between them, right? And people are gonna say, well, we want a club mix. Great, if you want a club mix, Push Up is probably the closest you can get to club mix. But and Family Ties is great. Family Matters is great. But Meet the Grams from Kendrick is great, right? But it's depending on how we weigh this in general, because I think like that is good, but it's not better than Push Up. It's not better than Push Up. And when he goes, Rick Ross has to read his Miranda rights. That's even though he worked there for like a month, it's still relevant. So it's just like, we get it. Like, these lines hit. They're just not hardly hit at Kendrick, which, I mean, I can't fault him. When you're facing this many people and Kendrick says it's a 20v1, he's fighting a bunch of ghostwriters. He had one ghostwriter, and that's Quentin Miller. Quentin Miller has released a song called Cease and Assist. That's why when he said Cease and Assist, I was like, oh, that's a Quentin Miller related track. I mean, okay, use an cease and assist for like that, but I mean, that's always been the case. That's why he couldn't release Push Up, because Push Up had a copyright thing on it, and so he couldn't release it. So he switched the beat from Conductor Williams, which we get. That is common practice. Like, cease and assist letter is common practice. It's just common in the world. Like, I think I had two, right, for talking about one, right? But it's common knowledge. I know I have one, but it was common knowledge. Like, it's just like, it's common in the industry. So people go, oh, well, I'm like, I get it, but like, to me, like, every other track has something, which is kind of the point where he goes, he had to wait to drop for Taylor Swift, and that just seems to be true. Taylor Swift dropped 7, he dropped. I mean, these are just the facts. It's statistics based. Look on it, and it's close. I just don't see nobody leading. And if we go, it's leading because he dropped 3 or 4 in 1 week. I mean, cool, but I've heard most of these And you say he's in a 360. He was. So are you, Kendrick. So I mean, if y'all are claiming, oh well, one's in a 360, one's in a 360. Yeah, y'all both are in the 360. They both gave out terrible deals. We're aware of that. So either release the contracts that show y'all weren't in a 360, or that point becomes irrelevant. Right? It becomes irrelevant. One of the two. Right? And I've talked to a bunch of people when people said, well, Drake is the better one because it's just something I'm going to bump. Something I'm going to bump. Something you can bump in a club. Something you can bump because it's for a commercial. While Kendrick's rapping about something that doesn't necessarily prove a point. It's just like, oh, it's here. I can rap about it, but it's here. It's not necessarily something I'm going to release, but it's okay. And Meet the Grams, while it is a good song, if you play it back, it comes off a little creepy, right? And it's not that it's soft. It's just, okay, you come at the Graham family for something we can all rebut, right? He's weird. He has that child association line put differently, but it's still the same accusation. And you call him after the basketball player that that Malone or something like that. But he allegedly got a 13 or 14-year-old girl pregnant. Where's the proof? If he's that bad, where's the proof? Like these are just rumors, and unless Kendrick puts like evidence out somewhere, this is just like rumors, or it's just rumors, but they can all be proven. Just show the proof. You'll have the labels to do it. Just prove it. I don't know. This is just, it's a, I like it. They're close. It's like probably one apart for me. It's probably like 4-3, but it's not because I favor anyone. It's just because it's just what it is. These bars are recycled. When Jay Electronica did it, when Reason did it, these are just recycled bars. And the most shocking thing is, oh, Drake's on Push Up where Top wants to piece it up. Why? Because is Top doing bad number-wise with just this? But then Top just said, he just quoted a diss track. He just quoted a line this morning about a diss track from Kendrick. So, this isn't about a location thing. Like, it's not like, oh, you're from the East or the West Coast, so you gotta support this artist. Nah, it's just who has a better diss track that you're gonna bump or play year round. And to me, it's just a tie, like 3-4. I can play either of them. It's just I don't favor one. And then he says Drake I forgot it, but Drake says PG as in PG, but I'm trying to keep it PG Lang. But like these bars are like simple, right? And then Kendrick says he's a colonizer, but well, you call him a colonizer because of the way that he's been able to associate two different types of genres of music together and bring people together. Because rap originally was the idea that we bring two different perspectives into the world and we rap about our own singular perspective, which he has done. So this falls on deaf ears for me because I get it, right? But then he argues that he's pro-black. I get it, but like we're doing this thing created by Europeans where they were like, hey, we have to do this because you're this color, you're this shade. And I'm like, okay, these lines get boring. Because you can only use he's white like so many times before you go, okay, so we're using a color system made by Europeans for labor. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Years, decades down the road. Yeah, that makes sense. And it just doesn't. It falls flat on the ears because I'm like, this could have been a J Electronica, this could have been a Black Thought, and maybe I'd give it a second thought. But it's genuinely like, okay, you make music that people find amazing and popular. You make music about rap, but the big three, y'all are the big three nationally because of what you do separately. And these diss tracks don't disprove anything. One's a good maker of music to the concept of creation, and the other one's is just an artist, which that's fine, right? But then it's like Jay Electronica said even himself, you're so much of pro this, But for you want Grammys. The two don't align. You can't say you hate the Grammys, but then get Grammys and say, oh, let's measure them up by Grammys, but then call Drake a colonizer. It's not clever. It's okay. We're dragging your points because we want to face on this idea of colorism. But while they talked about colorism, everyone was like, oh, no. There's no colorism in the industry. So which one is it? Are we going to sit here and drag this idea of colorism and say, oh, well, he can't say this because it's color, and he can't do this because he's not the blah blah percent of black, that if your father is this, then you're that race because of like a percentage of blood and genetics. Like, this is, and he says that Drake's father didn't claim him, but Drake's father has been multiple times that he saw his son while he was incarcerated. Like, this is what I'm saying. These lines get rebutted so much. I can tell you each line point by point. That's why it's like 3-4. It's like whichever one you like. Which beat do you like? Which sound do you like? Which perspective do you like? No one has an edge on each other. It's just, hey, okay, 3-4. Whichever one you like more. Anyway, that is our Let's Consider Music podcast episode where we talk mostly about Kendrick and Drake. This is probably one of our longest episodes, so if you did enjoy it, hope you enjoyed. I know we took a few breaks throughout this episode, which I normally don't do, but I decided, it's probably best to do breaks. That all being said, I can't really rate them because I think push-ups are better, but I also think that like that is clever, right? Like, it's clever. I think Kendrick might be more clever, but lyrically, I mean, they both hit, but it's just, there's nothing shocking. There's not a factor that I didn't know, and maybe that's because I'm too plugged into an industry that is so small that when you hear rappers go, okay, well, I need proof. Yeah, I need proof. Because these associations of Drake have been said before. The domestic violence case against Kendrick has been said before. The father thing with him saying he didn't claim Drake as a child has been said before. Drake's race bringing into a situation has been said before. Him saying that OVO isn't necessarily a tight-knit group has been said before. Him being associated with children has been said before. It's a lot of stuff where I'm just like, this is just rebutted. This is just a bunch of stuff rebuttal written in different words for artists that are like, hey, well, he said this, he did that. Yeah, okay. But now, where are we going from here? Because all of that's been said before, so where are we going? Anyway, that's my take. I hope my take isn't so, that people are like, this is a sad take, but it's the truth. So, with that being said, or that's my perspective on the truth. With that all being said, unless we get proof, I don't see a clear winner. But with that all being said, I do hope you enjoy. With that being said, if you like any more episodes, I'd advise you to go listen to my backlogger category of episodes, because I release every 2 weeks, or I try to release every 2 weeks.